Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Boat Dealer Profits podcast. I'm super excited with our guest today. I'll get to the introduction real quick. We're going to talk about how to sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. Our guest today is Jason Roberts. He's with SureShade. As the manager, sales, and dealer development of SureShade, Jason's responsible for cultivating and supporting dealer relationships across the state of Florida in order to grow their aftermarket presence. He's located in the Tampa area, and he provides on-the-ground customer service, technical support, which strengthens SureShade presence in Florida. He has over 15 years of experience in many business segments, which I think is going to be awesome to dive into that experience, including domestic, international sales, business development, management, project management. So he's got a great depth of experience that we're going to really dive into. And when he's not working at SureShade, Jason enjoys spending some time with his fiancé Maya and his son Jordan while frequenting the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. A little bit jealous on that one, Jason. So I appreciate you joining us on the show today.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I look forward to your perspective on sales and marketing for dealers, especially with your experience both inside the marine industry as well as your experience outside, and bringing that kind of out of the box, that new perspective that I think sometimes gets missed and is a great opportunity. So thanks for joining us here.
Thank you.
I noticed that as I was getting ready for the interview here, Jason, stalking you on social media and checking y'all out there. And I noticed that you've been meeting face to face on site with folks in the business, manufacturers, boat owners looking to do refits with the SureShade, as well as dealers. And I think I saw a video of you at a ribbon cutting ceremony at a dealership. Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to over the last couple of months or so.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me, Matt. This is exciting and definitely glad to be here. As you said, I'm part of SureShade, and last few months I've been kind of hitting the ground running. As you said, I do have a lot of experience outside of this industry, and bringing that to the table, that fresh perspective. It's nice going out and doing what I do. Going to dealerships is one of my biggest tasks. Basically, trying to develop a camaraderie or a partnership between SureShade and the dealerships, really to drive aftermarket business for us, but more to drive that for the dealers. So I've been meeting with dealers. The ribbon cutting event was amazing. It was a grand opening event for fishtail boats down in Fort Myers, Florida. We were invited to have a table there. There were a lot of vendors there, which, we'll get into later. It's one of the points I wanted to make. But it was a great event. People came out, they had fun. A lot of people from the community were there. They had the mayor there to kind of talk to the community and help with the ribbon cutting, and food, music, and it was just a good environment. The marine industry, again, being an outsider, it's a very fun industry naturally. I mean, who doesn't have fun?
Absolutely.
Right?
We'll call you a former outsider.
There you go. Former outsider. I like that. I'll take that title. But it's just naturally fun. And when you do stuff like that at a dealership, for example, it opens that world to a lot of people that maybe wouldn't know about it, because a lot of the people I saw that day didn't even own boats. They just came to be part of the event. And now, the married couple's going home arguing about whether or not they can afford to buy that 17-footer. So it was a really good event. And that's kind of what I do. I go to a lot of boat shows, which is always fun. If people listening, if they've never been to a boat show, go. It's well worth it. But I also go to manufacturers. Where SureShade works directly with manufacturers, and that's also a fun part of my job, seeing the way the boats are built and meeting with the people behind the scenes that are putting these beautiful products out on the market. So, kind of in a nutshell, I wear a lot of hats and I do a lot of things, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you said several things in there that I want to get to. You talked about kind of opening the door, getting people in the corridor of boating, exposing them to the opportunity. Not that they're actively looking to buy right now, but I call it the educational spectrum. Get them on the educational spectrum by getting them to think, hey, maybe boating could be for us. Just opening that window just a crack so that you can have your opportunity. And I've always, the ribbon cutting, I've always wanted to use one of those giant scissors to do the ribbon cutting. I don't know if you got involved in that. Me too.
I was jealous. I did get to hold them though after the fact. I did get to hold them.
There you go. I would have been off to the side cutting the ribbon just by myself, just so I could say I did it. But you're right about the attending the boat shows. A lot of the folks listening are dealers, salespeople, brokers, and some manufacturers, and we've all been to the shows as salespeople. We're there setting up, interacting with customers, selling boats, doing business. But going to a boat show as a consumer, going to a boat show as your customer would attend your boat show, I think is an incredible learning experience. See it from their perspective. What's it like to be, to talk to 6 different salespeople in one day, and just be overwhelmed with information? What's it like to, just to walk into your booth, or anybody's booth, and what do you see? So my question in all that rambling is, what ideas have you seen as you've attended, we'll say boat shows specifically, that you're like, that's awesome. That's something that more people should do, or holy smokes, I can't believe that the industry does it like this. Is there anything that jumped out at you?
Well, one thing that definitely works, I'd say the majority of the time is demos. Whether you're talking about a demo for an actual ride on a boat, or if you've ever heard of Seakeeper, I'm sure everybody is aware of Seakeeper. They do a lot of demos at boat shows. They get them on the boat, they rock the boat, they turn the Seakeeper on, it sits flat, and that just shocks people. When consumers can not just see it, but they can use it, feel it, see it in action while they're there, it definitely helps, if not sell it, plant that seed in their head that I want this, and then they go figure out how they're going to get it. So that's one, demos, and like I said, it's not always possible at these boat shows, but if you can, there's an opportunity to do it. It costs a little bit more, for your entry fee, whatever it is, take advantage of it.
But even at times, going with the demo is, getting them opening hatches. You may not be on the water, you may not be able to run the boat, you may not be able to, have that large of an investment, but you can get them to pretend that they're on the water. You can get them to get further to that actual boating experience, even in a show, convention center setting.
And to that extent, if you have the option to have power for your boats, do it. When you get a customer on the boat, it's like you just said, the convention centers. I was just at one, the Bradenton boat show down here in Florida, just walking it as a consumer really, and just kind of seeing what was there. But none of the boats really had power unless their house banks were charged. And let's face it, most of those boats, batteries are dead when they get there. So if you have the opportunity to have power, you can turn on the GPSs. You can, if you have the SureShade on the boat, you can run the SureShade in and out for the customer. Show them the gadgets that they're going to use when they're on the boat. That's definitely a plus.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and then just trying to make your booth attractive, especially at these larger shows. Miami, Fort Lauderdale. There are so many vendors there, and they're packed in. It's easy to kind of get swallowed in the mess, if you will, if your booth isn't attractive. An example, I was looking specifically for a specific builder, won't name names, but was looking for a specific builder at the Yachts Miami Beach show, and I walked past it 3 times because the booth just didn't stand out. Their sign was kind of hidden. They only had one of them. And there were so many signs that color that it just got lost in the mix. So just making your booth or your whatever setup you have stand out. If you're a dealer, bring as many of your dealer flags as you can and hang them everywhere. it just shows a presence. It shows a section, like you took over that section of the show. Come see us. Those are the two big things I've noticed, being someone who frequents boat shows. Usually the vendors or dealers or manufacturers that do those things that are very visible, they're the ones that are the busiest in my experience.
Right. There's I interviewed Bob McCann with MRAA, and we talked about boat shows and the fact that, it doesn't matter what your facility looks like when you attend the boat show, everybody's on an even playing field unless you do those extra things to make yourself set apart. I was at a parking lot boat show recently visiting some dealers, and I made just the offhanded comment of, oh, I didn't realize such and such a dealer carried that manufacturer. And he said, no, those are our boats. He quickly got the yard guys together and said, hey, listen, we need to slide these over and make sure that people understand that they're with us,
Yeah, right.
It's those little things that can, equate to a sale, or be a lost opportunity for the big investment of time and money in a boat show for sure, and effort.
Correct. Yeah, I've even seen something cool that I've only seen once, but it was very, very cool idea. It was a big floating foam sign that they had in the water. I forget which dealership it was, but it had lights on it and everything with their name on it. And it kind of just solidified that, hey, this is our section. These are our boats. And no one else there had one. And I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know where you get them, but, find them.
I'll have to do some research on that. Maybe
it was pretty cool.
Show notes if I could track it down. What about and you mentioned the fishtails ribbon cutting ceremony, the grand opening. A great facility is another, or I should say, the facility is an area that can set you apart. Anything that you've seen at the in-store dealerships that you've really said, man, that's fantastic, or there's another opportunity that I see?
Yeah, I mean, the dealers in my experience that have the most success, obviously visibility is a key in any business, but visibility can be a downside as well if you don't have your lot set up right.
Right.
I've seen a lot of dealers that are it just looks like boats everywhere and almost like a storage unit versus a dealership. And then you can tell the ones that set themselves apart, where it's very clear that they have a plan as to how we're going to organize our boats and display them on inside and out. And I think that speaks volumes for the dealership just alone. You can drive by a dealership and know just by looks whether, what type of dealer it's going to be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Are they actually merchandising their boats versus just throwing them in the lot? I remember reading a book about Sam Walton, the early days of Walmart, which I don't even remember what it was called, like Sam's Town or something like that. And one of the things that led them to get to the point to become Walmart was everything was merchandised very, very meticulously and with a strategy in place. It wasn't just thrown out there, whether it's signage for the boats, how you're pricing them, how you're lining them up. Are they clean? Are they, dirty with cobwebs and dust and all that? And I'm sure you've seen the gamut from good to bad.
Oh yeah. You just touched on one right there. It's very small detail that would get overlooked a lot, but make sure your boats are clean. Not just, the hull, but, make sure it's clean on the deck, because people want to get up there and see it. And if it's dirty when they get up there, that's not the first impression you want to make.
Yeah, they board the boat and they get a cobweb in their face. Yeah, that is not something that's going to tip the scales in your favor to a profitable sale.
Yeah, they sit down on the seat and they got dirt on their butt. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But it's difficult. I mean, especially if your boats are outside. But it is something that can really make a big impact if you're conscious of it and you focus on keeping them clean, or if you've been going to that same dealership for 30 years and you just sort of you get your blinders on and you just don't even notice it. It's so easy to have happen. So I'm really jealous of the opportunity you have to get to dealer to dealer to dealer and see all these things. I do as much mystery shopping as I can. I think that's something that there's a great learnings to be had by actually
Absolutely.
visiting dealerships and seeing what they're up to, good and bad. Anything else that you've seen in kind of your out and about? Because I know that's a big part of what you do daily is, meeting with people, talking to people. Anything else that you've seen that you've really been impressed with?
Yeah, dealer wise?
Well, yeah, just in the sales arena.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I've been impressed with is in certain locations, it's just the staff. And I know it's business 101 here, but it can really make a huge difference. Product knowledge is a huge thing. I've gone to a couple dealers in the same day that sell the same models and ask the same questions and get completely different answers at both locations. And, I know what I'm doing. I know what the answers are. So I knew who was telling the truth and who, didn't really know what they were talking about. So that's a key, making sure your sales team not only is professional and courteous and can do all the customer service thing, but making sure they know their product. Because a lot of these people nowadays, I think the industry is changing. And being an outsider, I can see that, I think, a little bit more than maybe somebody who's been in it for so long because they're just so used to the industry. But I think it's getting younger. Millennials, and the talk of millennials is everywhere, pretty much any topic nowadays. But let's face it, millennials, they're going to be the new customers, and they already are starting to be new customers in this industry. And not only that, but working in the industry. So, I think the industry changing like that, you got to set yourselves apart and make sure that your sales force is knowledgeable, because a lot of these people are new to the boating industry. They don't know. And when they're asking questions, they need to know the correct answers, because when they go out on the water, and if you told them one thing and they do that and that was wrong, they're sour. So, I've been to a couple places, a lot of places that have tremendous staff, tremendous amount of product knowledge. You can pretty much ask them anything, and it's like reading it from the manual. But I've also seen the other side of the spectrum. So that would be a huge key. And again, I know it's business 101, but it's just that it's something that I've taken notice to.
Well, and I think especially in our industry, if it depends, the boating environment makes a little bit of difference if you're boating on the coast or an inland lake, but the knowledge of how to use the product, how to boat safely and have more fun. If those pieces are missed, or you're given bad information and you have a bad experience the first couple times out in your boat, you said it can sour you. It can sour you from boating forever. And you're like, man, this is crap. And you don't use the boat and you sell it a year later. And there's a lost opportunity for referrals, for repeat business, for service, for all, a new SureShade upgrade. I'll talk about a story. I've got a great story about SureShade here in a little bit.
Oh, good.
It's us in the industry that are nose to nose, toes to toes with these customers that can really impact their love of boating and make it become their lifelong hobby, which
Absolutely.
in turn relates to a more profitable dealership and a more profitable industry as a whole, by doing the right things up front. So I agree. Well, I mentioned my story. I'll transition to that anyway right now. But I had there was a client that we worked with that bought a 25-foot bow rider. I sold Sea Rays when I sold. It was an SLX. And they custom ordered it, got everything decked out. They upgraded everything. And this couple had 2 dogs, no kids, but 2 dogs. And, they built their boat. While they were building, they got real, oh, do we want to spend the money on this? Do we want to upgrade the sound system? Do we want to do this? Well, the boat arrived, and, about a week before delivery, they said, we found this thing that we've got to put on our boat. Can you do it? And sure enough, it was a SureShade awning that they wanted, so that their dogs, their 2 golden retrievers, had some great shade. So not only did they buy a $120,000 boat or whatever it was, but they also then put on, I want to say it was a $8,000 to $10,000 SureShade awning. I mean, this was 6-7 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
It just goes to show you that there's additional profit in having those add-on things, because when people buy their boat, they get the, Sam Dancer calls it their bucket one. They get irrational about money, and it's not about the money. It's about getting exactly what they want. Talk about how kind of you've seen that play out from the dealers you worked with.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's actually, in preparing for this, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up is dealers. You got to offer options. Customization is something that is huge, and I hear it all the time. I almost think that, I know that people are competitive by nature, and people that own boats usually know other people that own boats, and Jim wants to have something on his boat that his buddy John doesn't, so he can brag about it. So options are huge. And there are a lot of options out there. That's the other thing that I've noticed too, with frequenting boat shows and dealers and talking to manufacturers is, there, you have GPS, you have this, you have that, and there's a lot of options within each category. So the more that a dealership can offer to their customers, I think it almost makes the customer feel more empowered during the buying process, because they're making more decisions about how they want their boat to be. And not even during the buying process or building process, but after the fact. That's another thing I wanted to touch on too, is it's almost like, and I'm not a huge fan of Walmart just because of what it is, but it's a one-stop shop. You can go there and pretty much get everything you need for the week. People like that, the convenience of that. And I think they would prefer that in their dealerships. And what I mean by that is they want to be able to come buy their boat there. They want to be able to come bring their boat back there for service, or have it picked up by that dealership and service and then dropped off if the dealer has that ability. And then in addition, if they see something after they buy their boat that they want added, they want to be able to take it back to that dealer and have that dealer install it. So, a one-stop shop, having the right people in place, the techs and the setup for that, just opens the door for a whole revenue stream that a lot of dealers don't take advantage of. And then it will also build on repeat customers.
Absolutely. There's, I just finished my book. I'm actually anxiously awaiting, the first draft is supposed to arrive here today. So I can't wait for the dog to start barking and know that, I could actually see it and have it in front of me. But, in the book, I talk about positioning yourself as the expert so that your prospects and your clients, want to take the advice from you. And they really do. I mean, they're looking for somebody to say, hey, this would be a great add-on for your boat, the way that you're looking, and actually know about what they're talking about. And as you said, be that one-stop shop of not just, hey, we sell boats and we do service, but any other area that they can make their boating lifestyle more enjoyable. If they can come to you for that, it's more enjoyable for them. You build a stronger relationship. Oh, and by the way, as a dealership, you make more profit. Because the margins, I don't know what the margins are on the SureShade, but I would imagine they're good, strong margins because it's such a great product that, and not to mention, you may have said this earlier, but you see that boat at the marina with a SureShade and you're like, oh my, that's awesome. Everybody's concerned about the sun these days, and taking care of your skin and all that. That you see that big shade and then you see it rolled up and practically out of the way and invisible. You're like, that's something I've got to have. And boom, where'd you get that done? Oh, I got that done at Matt's Marine. And there's another sale. And I mentioned there, the people are, I don't know, focused or more conscious of it. I remember when I was a kid, it was, you put sunscreen on once, you got in the water for the day and that was it. But now everybody realizes that you got to be a little more cautious of the sun. I noticed that you have a really cool thing going with Mike Schmidt, the former Philadelphia Philly and I assume a Hall of Famer. I think that's true. Talk about that and how that came about and what you guys are doing with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, SureShade is based out of Philadelphia. It's actually where I'm originally from as well. And one of our co-owners, Dana Russakoff, she is very heavily involved in, I believe it's called the DRCC. Now, I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's a organization that is geared towards revamping the Delaware River waterfront in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And Mike Schmidt, being a Philadelphia Philly, a legend in the city, he still lives in the area, and he loves the Delaware River waterfront, and he is involved in that as well to some capacity. So he and Dana got to kind of know each other a little bit through that, and some other venues, I believe. And he had skin cancer. He was diagnosed with skin cancer, but he's an avid boater. So after his treatments and everything was cleared, he wanted to get back out on the water. But in order to do that, he needed adequate shade. So he reached out to Dana for a SureShade for his boat, and in return was more than willing to not only talk about SureShade and do a testimonial for us, but more importantly for sun safety. And SureShade, Dana, we're a part of multiple sun safety organizations, which can be seen on our website. But that's kind of how that got started, all about sun safety, and just the fact that Mike kind of knew Dana offhand through the community.
That's awesome, and I'm a big proponent of using celebrity and celebrity endorsements. I don't know if it was a financial investment that you made, or if you just did it because of the relationship. But the one takeaway I want people listening to go away with is there's celebrities that you're working with right now that you're not taking advantage of. I mean, this was an offhanded relationship with a charitable organization. Mike Schmidt wanted the SureShade. There was a relationship, and it just didn't stop there. It went on, and Dana said, hey, let's do this together. And now you guys have a Hall of Famer as a celebrity endorser. And I would imagine that has been very helpful for you guys. I don't know what kind of traffic you have with it, but I mean, it can't hurt. That's for darn sure.
Well, if we can keep growing the Philadelphia boating market, it'll help even more.
Yeah, exactly.
We're working on that.
And it's just being conscious and being aware of that opportunity, like Dana and SureShade and Jason have been, to not just, oh my gosh, that's great. Mike Schmidt has a SureShade, and talk about it, around the office. But it could be a news anchor in your area. It could be a local sports person or a retired athlete in your area. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be Britney Spears. That's the most popular person I can think of off the top of my head. But it doesn't have to be, whoever. It doesn't have to be the fiancé. Just think anybody in your local area that people would respect. Could be a prominent business person. It could be an athlete. It could be a police officer. There's certain professions that kind of have some celebrity and some trust and integrity built into them. Look for those opportunities and just ask. Do a quick video. I mean, the video that Mike did was what, 3 minutes long, maybe, the one I saw anyway.
I think so. Yep, I think so. And it was all about sun safety.
And that's instant credibility, because he's not saying go buy a SureShade. You have to buy a SureShade. He's saying, hey, I'm a boater. He's telling his story. Oh yes, the SureShade helps me. And there's just that instant credibility that if Mike Schmidt is into boating and has a SureShade, maybe it's something that I could get involved in as well. And I think that's just brilliant that you guys have done that. I think it's an opportunity that a lot of people overlook.
I agree.
Another thing that Jason, I was impressed with that you guys are doing is using social media. I mean, the way I found the Mike Schmidt thing was on social media. I think I may have even seen it on your page when I was getting prepared for this. What do you guys? What's your approach as you look at social media that maybe some people listening could take advantage of, especially if they're new to it or don't use it themselves that much?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And again, another one of the points that I wanted to make is, and it kind of goes back to something I said recently, that I believe the industry is getting younger. And the younger generations are always on social media. So I mean, that's visibility right there. And in many, many cases, it's free visibility. I mean, I know on Facebook, businesses can pay for additional ads and things like that. I don't know how well those work, but just posting like we do. We have an outstanding marketing director in Diane Seltzer, and she basically kind of runs our marketing department and does all of our social media posts, or at least the majority of them. It's keeping on top of it. For example, the other day was Flag Day, and we had a post for Flag Day, and it was done up with we had a SureShade, boat with a SureShade on it, and Diane, I believe, photoshopped something in there with red, white, and blue for Flag Day, and just something simple like that, and it can circulate very, very quickly. All it takes is for 1-2 people to start liking it. Now all their friends can see it. And a lot of times people are like, "Hey, what's that on your page? What is that SureShade thing?" So I believe it's extremely important nowadays to be on social media. If you don't have one, you're losing out because your competitors do have them. And the more visibility you have, the more you're in front of people, the better your chances are that they think of you and, hey, I want to go look at a boat. Where should I go? That's kind of what we do with the social media thing, because again, we're based out of Philadelphia, but our shades are everywhere. So the best way for us to reach audiences across a wide area is social media.
Yeah, and what you guys do well versus what I see a lot of other people do, not even just in the boating industry, but overall, is you all have a specific message that you utilize. You call it the shady side of boating, I think.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, the shady side of boating. And so you have your message down pat. It's not just that you're putting stuff on social media, funny pictures and whatever.
Right.
You're
right.
always, every post kind of leads back to that message of, we're the people that are going to make boating sun safe, and you do a lot of stuff with that. And that shady side of boating message really resonates with people that are buying your product versus just the willy-nilly, oh, I'm going to put this up. And I think the area that dealers can, and I've been, I don't want to say against social media, but I think until you have that message in place, social media can be a lot less effective than it should be. But when you have the consistent posting with the solid messaging, that's where you guys get, I would imagine, a ton of results. If you haven't liked the SureShade, aren't following on Twitter or Facebook, or I think I've even seen you guys on LinkedIn and Instagram, I recommend our listeners to check them out and just kind of pay attention to how they use the hashtag, how they use their messaging. Certainly the boating industry has very shareable content. I mean, pictures of people on the water enjoying the boating lifestyle is exactly what social media is all about, that fun part, and you can use it to generate more business. So follow them, and I think you'll discover a lot of things you can do in your business. And the one last thing I wanted to talk about before we talk to how people can get in touch with you guys and learn more about the product. You guys also do a great job of not just building the relationship on social media and having great messaging, but also with your newsletter. I think, is it a monthly newsletter that you guys do?
Correct. Monthly newsletter.
And how it's in my 24/7 selling machine in the Splash system, that's a piece of it, is a relationship building newsletter. That's not 100% sell, but actually interesting content, fun stories, great pictures and video, and a little bit of sales sprinkled in. Can you talk about the results of how that's worked for you guys and the return on investment that you're getting with that?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is handled out of our marketing department. Diane does a great job with it, but we've gotten, a lot of inquiries from them, generated from, our newsletter. And like you said, it's not all geared towards sales. Most of it is actually geared towards, hey, this is kind of what we're doing, what we've been up to. Here's some cool stories in the marine industry, trying to keep it fun and light and keep people engaged at the same time, with the SureShade name in their face. But
Sure.
we do get the inquiries from them, not only dealer inquiries, private boat owner inquiries. It's again about exposure and keeping our audience engaged. And it's just another way for us to be able to reach out to the people that we work with, people that are, our customers, and anybody that really wants to keep up with SureShade and what we're doing. We are a company that is constantly changing and constantly making improvements, and we like to share that with our customers so they know, where we're at. And again, like I said, Diane does a great job with that. I look forward to our next month's issue.
Yeah, and it's one of my mentors taught. It's let's see if I can get this right. It's not your customer's responsibility to keep up with what you have to offer. It's your responsibility to keep that in front of them. Like they should never. You should never have a product that they don't know about if you have a relationship. And I think you guys just developed a new for smaller boats. A new product that works nicely with some of the smaller bow riders. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yep, correct. Recently, it's the RTX shade, the manual pull.
There you go. And I saw that in the newsletter. I mean, in my mind, my experience with SureShade is always 25, 27 foot and above. A lot of the big cruisers and yachts and sport yachts have them. That you guys have custom fit, but now that newsletter opened up they've got a new product offering that would be perfect for some of the dealers that I work with. So I saw, as we wrap up here, I saw this quote on your website. Builders and dealers tell us that boat models with our shade sell at a faster pace than others in the same segment without the shade. And I can imagine that to be very, very true from your experience. So with that being said, and this being a podcast about, selling more boats, making more money, and having more fun, how can people get in touch with you and learn about SureShade? And if it's, if they have a customer that wants one, what do they do? What boats do you have the product for? What can they do to get in touch with you, Jason?
Okay. Well, starting, it really doesn't matter what boat it is. If we haven't done it before, we're going to figure out how we can do it going forward. So whatever boat model it is, whatever, your customer wants to put the shade on, let us know. Give us a call. We'll walk you through the steps and get the information that we need to figure out how to do it and whether it's feasible. But 9 times out of 10, if you have a radar arch, if you have a hard top, soft tops, anything like that, our shades are going to work. And to get in touch with me personally, you can get in touch with me at jason.roberts@sureshade.com. SureShade is SureShade. You can also get a hold of me on my cell phone, 727-483-8787. And then our office number in Philadelphia is 877-333-8323, option 1 for sales. So if you have any questions, concerns, you can get a hold of myself or anyone in our Philadelphia office, and we can get you the information that you would need.
That's awesome. And I would encourage if you're doing a newsletter for your dealership, for your boat business, and you haven't yet promoted SureShade, put together a little article. And Jason, you guys may even have something like this. Just a little article about the benefits of SureShade. Maybe it's the Mike Schmidt video. I assume that's something that a dealer could use if they're referencing SureShade, as just a way to promote sun safety, as a way to promote another accessory, another add-on to a boat that can make their boating lifestyle more enjoyable. And just throw that in a newsletter, in the upcoming months of July and August. As we're recording this, I think would be perfect. Is that something that they can use, or do you have any material like that would be available to them?
Absolutely. We are always looking to kind of cross market with our vendors, dealers, and OEM partners. So, we can do pretty much anything. We can have links on your website. We can put you on our website. And any dealer out there that's interested in being a SureShade dealer, contact me. We'll get you set up. We'll get you the information that you need, and then I can get our marketing department to work with yours and figure out the best way to cross-market both SureShade and your dealership. Again, going back to the one-stop shop, on the internet. Most of the people that find you are going to find you on the internet. And when they hover over your services tab and they see a drop down with all different kinds of things like Seatkeeper, SureShade, you name it, Garmin, whatever it is, that's more attractive to the customer. So, and we are more than willing and would love to be a part of something like that. So contact us. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I can speak to the quality of the product. The 25-foot bow rider that had it on, I mean, that thing was rock solid. And our crew had never installed one before, and they were cussing me when I sold it. But once they got it done, and they had great support from the crew over at SureShade on helping them, here's what you need to do, and here's some tips and tricks to make it easier. I mean, it was a super simple installation job that they thought it was going to be a lot harder than what it was. So I can speak to that part of it from personal experience. So, hey, Jason, I appreciate it, man. This has been, you've shared a ton. I loved your perspective of your experience at boat shows and at manufacturers and dealers. That is extremely valuable, I think, for people to hear a different perspective, and then just the SureShade program and how that can add profits. I appreciate you being here. Any famous last words, anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show here and to discuss, the marine industry. Again, it's a fun industry. Have fun with it. It should come naturally, and just keep it shady.
Yeah, there you go, man. We'll end on that, and I look forward to seeing you at a future industry event.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right. Take care, Jason.
You too.